Hello, Western Oregon sports fans, and welcome to this edition of Wolves Weekly. I'm joined now by head cross-country coach Mike Johnson. Coach, you've brought a lot of excitement to this school this last weekend. Tell us a little bit about your performances of your men's and women's cross-country teams at the West Regional.
It is the NCAA West Regional. It's held in Bellingham, where I think it was easy enough to anticipate the fact that we're going to have some rough weather, and we got it. Not on race day. Actually, it was quite lovely. If you think 29 and clear is lovely, but it was. The night before, though, we'd had 2 or 3 inches of snow. Part of the course was snow-covered. Part of it was sheltered under the canopy of trees. The start area was a swamp. Basically, the snow probably helped the start area firm up a little bit. And the night before, was, as I said, we were looking out the hotel room windows and kind of just in excitement that there was such a great storm going on outside. But with a little trepidation is what the next day would bring.
Well,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That next day will basically live in infamy in Western Oregon sports history. At the Division II level, we've never had anybody qualify for the national finals before. And on that day, you're able to have the men's team and the women's team go out and earn berths into the national finals. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it will be a famous day, I would think. We kind of knew we could do this and expected that if we did have our race that we'd be competitive with the other people. As it turned out, we really ran a bit out of sorts. And the start for the women was kind of awkward. As I mentioned, the swampish kind of area that we started with was disabling because a couple of our people slipped rather badly and we got kind of a tough start. But then they ran tough, and the men did the same thing. And so it wasn't a day of exceptional performances, but it was a day of exceptional commitment to the cause. I mean, they knew what they wanted to do and what they needed to do to win.
And I'd like to talk a little bit about that men's team, first of all. Chris Reed won his second consecutive all-regional performance, but you mentioned to me that it maybe wasn't him exactly was the one that earned you that berth in the Nationals.
Yeah, I think Chris would tell you that. If he was going to, last year he qualified as an individual in the national championships and of course was an All-American. This year he was all-region, but his place in the championships, had he been having to go as an individual, wouldn't have sent him. So the team pushed Chris Reed to the national championships as much as Chris pulled the team to the championships. And Connor had a good day and he finished in the top 20 as well. And Chris ran well. Just not to his normal standard. But really, Justin Carr, Kyle Larson, Ryan Chapman, we were probably about even with Pomona, with probably 4,000 meters left in the race. And they had a few seconds on us. And they kind of recognized what needed to be done. So if we were even or even a little behind that team, and we ended up 25 or 30 points ahead, it was really those 3 guys that ran 3, 4, 5 for us that made the difference, and truly made the difference. And Kyle Larson, I think, he went by the 2, 3, and 4 men for Humboldt, all in the last 250 or 300 meters. And that's a big point swing, but with what Justin had done and Ryan had done, they really made that start to happen in the middle of the race. And so we were, I think as a group, a little chagrined that we hadn't done better. But we did what we needed to do. And that, I think, speaks well for the toughness that is necessary to succeed at the national level.
And talk to me a little bit about your women's team, who actually exceeded expectations. You guys were picked to finish 6th in this race going into it, picked up 5th place.
Yeah, it's funny when you exceed expectations, oftentimes they're other people's expectations. And did we exceed our own? Probably not. I think we expected to be 4th, 5th, 6th, that we'd be in that mix. The course really didn't favor a couple of the people on the team by the way their mechanics are. A couple of the others who run very steady, have really good posture in the way they run, excelled. And so we had certainly a group effort out of our top group of runners who maybe ran out of what expected order might be in order to bring the whole group forward. We've got a challenge for us there. We have to run a little bit better to, I think, achieve some of our goals in the next race.
Well, talk to me about that next race. This is your championship part of the season that you always talked about. You kind of divided your own season into two parts. The early part, your training type of thing, and now you get into championships, starting with the GNAC, the West Regional, and now on to Nationals.
Yeah, I think the GNAC was a place where the team started to come together. We started to have a reasonable assembly of, well, maybe we can do some things. And as we brought that into the West Regionals, the goal really was not so individual any longer, but kind of collective. And I think they knew what they could do, which was, as you talk about exceeding people's expectations, what they wanted to do was just show how good they were and are, and kind of ran that way. And they did have to run tough. I mean, there were people that were probably at the end of the first 1,000 meters, back in 110th place that, made up 65 or 70 places, over the next 5,000 meters and had to work their way through what is a narrow and, on that day, snow-covered course.
Well, this is an entire festival going on down there at your national championships. I know I get a little laugh from you, but the NCAA is trying to do something to combine a couple different championships into one.
Yes.
So,
they're taking the idea of a sports festival, maybe an Olympic festival idea, which is something that people had in the country 25 years ago at the post-collegiate level. And they'll have 5 teams there, field hockey, volleyball, men and women's soccer, and men and women's cross country. And 5 different sports, represented. And, they'll all be at different venues. The nice part about it is that the overall structure of the program is greater. And we'll have our first evening's activities will take place in the Muhammad Ali Center, and our last evening's activities over the 4-day span will take place at Churchill Downs, where they'll recognize the award winners and the people that achieved during that race. But everybody gets to take part in that. This was devised and conceived by the presidents of the various Division II institutions, and the hard part is the timing of the year. Yeah. It's an academic challenge for us to be gone this long and come back and work right back into finals as soon as we return.
Well, talking about the academic side of it, one of the more impressive things to me about this year, it's fantastic you guys are going to nationals, but it's not just about what you guys have done on the course and what you have done athletically. You've been able to achieve a lot in the classroom as well with this group. 9 people earned GNAC all academic honors.
Yeah, I think that goes back to our recruiting. When we're recruiting, we look at, and we have 3 things. They're on our whiteboard where we have our recruits and the rest of it work, so that we're reminded every day that we start with attitude, then we choose academics, then we go to performance. There's a lot of people that are capable of performance, but if they don't have the first 2, they're not likely to succeed. They're not likely to be able to fulfill their promise, their athletic promise, if their attitude isn't great, and if their academic commitment, you don't fail in one aspect of your life and achieve in another, at least not in our sport.
And you told me this group does have a lot of focus on academics, even from their own desire. You talked to me a little bit about on the bus, you find people doing homework, not watching movies and stuff.
Yeah, we usually only watch a movie, maybe one movie, up or back, depending on the trip. But even during the movie, the people are plugged in, they have their earbuds on, and they're listening to, either audio homework, they're doing homework using the, Kim books, or, working on whatever project that they have to work on. Sometimes some of them are sharing a class, and they'll work together during that period of time on that. Most of us carry computers and work electronically, and if we miss any class, we're filing it from the road.
Well, to me, I just want to say that's a great achievement when you can tie in athletics to the level you have this year, as well as academics with so many of your individuals that have just done fantastic, such as Justin Carr with a 3.99.
Yeah, Justin Carr is the conference scholar, and that in itself speaks to something. But his attitude is not unusual among the entire group. So when we get ready to go to nationals, people's first concerns are not, what will our workout be? Okay, which professor do I need to contact, and what kind of work do I need to do, and how do I put that together? When they get that assembled, then that takes the pressure off, and they're able to go ahead and compete well when they've dealt with all those other issues.
And that is fantastic because we know that now until finals week, you guys are not going to be around very much. So if you guys have that focus and that attitude, we know that you're going to be able to achieve, your students are going to be able to achieve both in the classroom with that focus, and we can't wait to see what you'll do at nationals.
Cross country is usually won in the summertime, and it's the summer preparation. And so they prepare while we're not at school in order to start practice. Whether it's cross country practice or track practice or wherever we are on the continuum, the same thing takes place academically. And if we're away, we're still studying. It's not a party on the road. You know, we're going to work. You know, we got a job to do, and we have a great time doing it. It's wonderful. They're a wonderful group to work with. But hopefully we can have a good week, a good weekend, and we can do some more things that we haven't done here at Western Oregon before.
Well, Coach, thank you very much for joining me on this edition of Wolves Weekly. We hope to have you on one more time at least during this cross-country season to talk a little bit about your finals, about the national championship, as well as I know you'll be joining us a couple times this year during track and field season.
Always happy to do it, Danny. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach.